Committee to order. And glad to have Sharon with us. Patrick, welcome. Richard, nice to have you here. And Kara, right?
Yes. Yes.
We're all here.
The gang's all.
So first item is petitions, proclamations, suggestions, and complaints. Anybody have any of those for us? Go ahead, Melissa.
Love this.
I love that thing about complaints and
Oh,
proclamations.
It's even better when you guys are quiet specifically about the complaints piece. You know, we're happy to have them. You do. But we just have a couple of news and events to share with you today. Obviously, we want to promote our Donuts in Victoria series, so we do have a couple of those topics up on the screen. Just a couple of weeks, March, we do have our community development team leading a conversation on downtown West and all the commercial development that's coming to downtown. So that's a really good one, just to be aware of all the projects coming and just what the future holds for our downtown area. April, we have our transportation projects. So if you're interested in all the crazy transportation construction projects that are coming up this year and in future years with the Highway 5 Arboretum Area Transportation Plan with the county, this would be a really good one to tap into. Of course, for both of downtown and transportation projects, we have all the information that we'll be sharing on those 2 dates available on our website. We keep that updated regularly. However, it's nice because you get to actually meet the folks that are working on the project, and you can ask them the questions that you have. And then going into May, we have our EAB contractor talking about Emerald ash borer, but just in general, just tree care, what you can do for your trees and your property. And then lastly, we have borrowing from the lending library. There's a Carver County Lending Library that started last year. We want to promote that program. What that program is, just a little snippet is, you know, instead of like a regular library where you check out books, they have things like tools or equipment or grills or yard games that you can check out and borrow for a weekend or a week, whatever you might need. Just so that if you don't have it at your house and you don't want to buy one, they can lend it out for you. So that would be a great program to jump in on as well.
Where's that at?
This will all be at the Victoria Recreation Center.
Okay.
Great question.
So where's the lending library itself at?
In Chaska someplace. I don't remember the exact address, though.
Mm-hmm. But it is based out of Chaska.
I think down in our, when you walk in, Richard, there's a bunch of brochures, and I think there's one there for it. If not, we can look it up.
Okay. Well, I mean, if I need it,
Downstairs.
I'll hunt it up, but, you know.
Yeah, you can Google it.
Nice, nice.
We also have Victoria Citizens Academy, and I know many of you have already taken this program, but I do want to share it out there. So that's going to be starting soon, and we are taking reservations. So if anyone wants to join in on the fun weeks that we have planned, you'll learn a lot about local government and different aspects of local government. You get to tour different city facilities that you might not otherwise get into. Feel free to sign up for that. One, you can register online, but if you have any more questions or if you'd like to register, I can take your information as well.
And you're having it up here? Or?
It changes
It says
location. So the first
City
one we'll
Hall.
have at City Hall, and then each location will change. So we'll have one on water infrastructure. That will be at our water treatment plant. You'll get a tour of that. We'll bring you to Public Works. We have one at Wasserman Lake Preserve. Just a couple different areas to get people into the different spots around the city. And then last slide I have for you is the Community Builders Program. We are accepting nominations for that. So if you do know somebody, a group, business, organization that really has demonstrated an extraordinary commitment to Victoria in any way, please feel free to nominate them. We keep nominations open until the end of the month. And then last but not least, we do have new artwork. I do have voting things on your at your space as well as pens. Kara, you might have to sneak over to the one next to you to grab one, but feel free before you leave today, check out the new artwork and vote on your favorite. And this is all brought to us by Deb Zeller and Deb Zeller Studios. She's a Victoria resident, but Deb Zeller Studios, her studio is in Hopkins. And this is all by local artists.
Very nice.
And I will pass it back to you.
Can I add an event that
Please.
we're doing with the city? Get on your calendar, Saturday, May 3rd. We're celebrating the 10th anniversary, actually this building, but of the Victoria Library.
Oh, really?
We'll start it off with some opening remarks from Commissioner and some of the mayor speaking, I believe. And then down in the bandstand, we have the Rowe Family Singers. And most importantly, and make sure you write this down, cake.
Cake.
What time?
Cake.
That's very important.
And what time does it?
It starts right at 10.
10?
We'll actually probably open the doors at 9:30, a little bit early.
Yeah, okay.
Almost like it's an extended address.
Melissa, could you give us a quick update on the new fire station project?
Is there,
Yeah, I can give a brief update. Trying to think if there's anything significant that has happened since the last time we chatted about this. But just as a recap for anyone that might be watching at home or in the recording, the City of Victoria did approve the design and bids for the new fire station last year. So now what's really going on, and that building will be over by Holy Family's site at the corner of 18 and Cochia Lane. But now what's going on is contracts are being signed and finalized just to ensure that progress can be started, construction, hopefully this year. And then we're still anticipating move-in by end of 2026.
End of 26.
they've done some groundwork. I mean, trees and shrubs.
That actually wasn't through us. That was through the pipeline. There's a Magellan pipeline that runs through that area. So you probably did see some work being done on site. But if you looked across the street on the other side to notable,
They're over there too.
they were over there as well. So that was through the Magellan pipeline.
Oh, okay.
We had to do some tree clearing for access to obviously the pipeline that's underground. But it's a good question and a good thing to be brought up because a lot of people did ask about that.
Oh, okay.
So will there be a roundabout there where the fire station is on 18?
Nope, not at the new fire station.
So just use the stop signs.
Yep,
Yeah.
Well, and then access to Holy Family High School,
that will remain the same.
going in the side there. And the fire station's right there. Okay, all right.
Off of Cochia.
Very good.
There will be, for the fire station, an exit only for emergency respondent vehicles off of 18, but that will be limited just to emergency respondent vehicles.
Sounds right.
Sounds good. Any other comments, questions, proclamations? We'll move on to the first item of business then, and that's minutes from February 3rd.
Chair, before we do, I just want to make sure that, Kara, if you have anything from the county that you have to
Yeah,
update
let's-
us on.
County.
Let's do the health.
Hi, Kara Cassidy with Carver County Public Health Office of Aging. The first thing I want to put on your calendar is to hold the date of September 5th for our all commissions meeting at the Arboretum that we do every year. It will probably be between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m., just like we did last year. I'm still in some negotiations with the Arboretum, but that date is available. And then I'll give you your quick public health update, your situational awareness that we believe the flu has peaked and RSV is declining. Norovirus is decreasing nationwide, but increasing in Minnesota. And there are no cases of bird flu confirmed in Minnesota as well. And then finally, with the measles, we're all getting a lot of information about the measles outbreaks. And the belief is that if you were vaccinated before 1968 or have an uncertain vaccination history, you may need to have a booster. So
really?
talk to your doctor. There is some belief that if you were born before 1957, I think that you don't need a measles vaccine. But it's always good to check with your healthcare provider to see what they are thinking.
Yeah.
I think that's all I have.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, now we'll do the minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
I so move.
Thank you, Richard. A second?
I will.
And we're seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. It carries. We'll move on to old business. Melissa.
Wonderful. For people that were here our last meeting, this will probably look familiar to you because we will be going through our Senior Advisory Committee 2025 work plan again and just updating some of the changes that we talked about at our last meeting, making sure that seems to be on track for what the committee's thought process is. And if there's any other changes that we want to make before we bring this to council, that we do so. So up on the screen, I do have the Senior Advisory Committee work plan, and I did redline the changes and the ads that we put into that from our conversations. So first, I'll just go through all of them, and then I'll just highlight the changes as we go through. So the first is obviously conducting the assessment of the senior resource packet. We've been doing that since mostly day one after the packet was officially created. So we usually do this at the end of the year, just a quick refresh, making sure all the web links, the phone numbers, addresses, everything looks kosher on that. And then if we need any additions or anything that we want to add to it, we can make sure that we do that then. The next one is recommend ways to communicate better to Victoria's senior population. This is something the committee does regularly at each and every meeting. We have opportunity for this, and I think it's a continuous conversation for us. It's just better ways to communicate with each other. An addition that was talked about at last meeting was to specifically harness and think about ways to communicate better to those without internet or without access to computers or the digital technology. We know at the city we do, and just overall we've been really pushing, or just there's been a migration towards digital communication. We saw the removal of the newspaper last year, and so there's just a heightened need to figure out a better way to communicate with those that might not have access to social media or our city's website. So we wanted to include that on here as well this time around.
Would now be the appropriate time to recommend it to do, or should we wait till you go through the plan on here?
We can talk now, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
As some of you may know, there's a grassroots organization that has started something called the Carver County Local News. It's online only, so it doesn't meet this
Yeah.
goal, but at the same time, you did talk about losing the newspaper. So this project was built because there's no longer a newspaper. I don't know how much the county has used it, but we've organized with them to have 2 columns a month. So May is coming up. I think it's Older Americans Month. There's one month it's Older Americans Month. So I think perhaps something we could do here is look at something. You can't just say, oh, the Victoria Senior Commission exists. Is have a reason to write a short article talking about this and talking about one initiative that we are engaged with. So either we just put out this new resource directory, or something else is going to come up on the plan. And I'd be happy to work with someone on that. I don't think I should write it. I think someone else should write it, but I'd be happy to be the liaison with the people at the Carver County Local News.
And you're a great proofreader, Patrick, so.
And if I could, putting on my other hat as the chair of the Commission on Aging in the city of Chanhassen, we have a commissioner who has become an approved writer with Carver County online local news, and he submits articles every once in a while. He's also a realtor in town, so he has a lot to write about, I think, and they're happy to publish news on older citizens, and they are often looking for content, from what I understand.
That's good to know.
It's great to know. So then is continuing to be a community staker in downtown West projects. Council in January, yes, it was late January, that they approved an agreement with Victoria Downtown West LLC to start thinking about the phase 2 of the Downtown West project. So they're going to start hosting some workshops related to that. I believe the next workshop to discuss this will be in March with council, but then obviously we'll need to have that higher community stakeholder groups, including these people at this table, to talk about what does the future of this space look like. There's obviously the retail and residential components, the actual buildings themselves, but we really want to make sure that we're thinking about the community spaces, the sidewalks, the open engagement areas, and just making sure that we're really thinking through what this space is going to look like for the future, and making sure that it really flows from our downtown today into the super space. So. This one is red. It's actually been is shown as redlined, but it has been on our list for a while, but I tweaked it based on conversations we had at last meeting, but also just the overall progress that we've been on this project. So we've switched it from what it previously was which was more on walkability study, to developing that walkability plan, because obviously we've already conducted the study itself. You guys walked through areas of Victoria. So developing that walking and trail plan based on that walkability study that was completed 2023, 2024. So the idea behind this is really harnessing, having staff go in and harness the results from that study, develop some sort of plan based on the results and the reactions of the committee, but then going out and figuring out what tweaks need to be made and bringing it to this committee and saying, you know, does this match our observations? Are we missing things? What are our priorities in these spaces as well? Because that's another big piece. You can have all these listed out, but what should come first, second, third, last? So going through all of that, and that will be in a partnership program, most likely with the Parks and Recreation staff, but also the Parks and Recreation Committee.
The plan would involve things like timelines, specific infrastructure improvements, or signage, or things like that.
All of the above, Chair. Yeah.
Nice.
And then scrolling down, continuing to engage with the Carver County Office of Aging. Obviously, as Kara is sitting here, that's one of the big pieces to that. But also, as she mentioned, that annual meeting too, I think is really helpful to get connected with other members in the county and hear about what projects are doing and impacts they're making in their communities, and seeing what we can bring back or share with them of what we're doing here as well. So continuing that is very helpful for us. The next one is continuing to explore senior facility programming. We were anticipating to host a workshop with council to talk about the survey results that you talked about last year. However, that meeting got postponed, so we're trying to identify dates to continue to have that conversation with council. From there, they'll kind of develop some sort of guidelines for us to then take. But I also anticipate thinking about the short-term planning of that space. You know, we've talked a lot about just creating a space for seniors to gather. It can be informal, it can be formal, it's a mix of both. So making sure that, you know, once we get to that place of identifying the actual space, looking at furniture, that this group is heavily involved in making those decisions.
I'd really like to see, when we have this meeting next year, one of these read. Because I feel this is like a really important thing that during our work this year that we get, that we make sure that we, you know, create and recommend goals for senior facility. We do some of these things.
Yeah. And then last, this is a new initiative based on the conversations that we've had over the last 2 months, which is participate in community engagement events throughout the year to really share senior resources and then also receive feedback from our residents. And this could technically be brought up to the second option on better ways to communicate, but we did think just to keep it on its own, because we wanted to make sure that we're highlighting this specific engagement opportunity opposed to communication. Communication can be one thing, that's a one-way form of communication. Engagement is that two-way approach. So with that, hosting a booth at the farmers market, participating in Parks and Trail engagement events, and we actually have 3 of those lined up. I put 2 on here, maybe that's our goal is 2, but we'll plan for 3, and then a pop-up event as well, and then things like classic car nights, making sure we're getting engaged in those type of activities too. So we're still working on summer scheduling and making sure we have dates lined up, and then probably at the next meeting I'll have all the dates for this committee to review and maybe sign up and then get all that stuff going. But want to make sure it was added.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, that's very.
To Patrick's point, would it be okay to, on the one about the senior facility, to put a date in there for like one of these activities, like create goals or review potential locations, like fall of 25 or something like that? Is it to get a little more specific?
We can definitely do that. The one thing I would like to just note is I'd like to get some more feedback from City Council at their workshop before I put in dates, because that will definitely change based on what their feedback is. That meeting should be sometime this spring, so I think by the time that council adopts this work plan, we should be able to get dates in here though.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And the tour of senior focused facilities, that's not read. People didn't get to that.
We did do that. I probably should have taken that off, so I can remove that piece. strike that.
But there's probably more we can visit. I mean, I visited one not in Carver County though.
But I don't think, I think there was a few people that visited from
Yeah.
other areas, and I think that's always beneficial to see what other communities
Oh,
are
yeah.
doing. Obviously, Carver County, we have a lot of people in our community that already attend those, so looking at elsewhere is helpful for us to get ideas on, you know, what could we do that's not in Carver County already. So I think there's definitely benefit to that. I could change it to maybe you know, as needed or something,
Yeah,
just to
or
keep it.
continue to.
Mhm.
I went to the senior center in Edina, which shares a physical space with their library.
Ah.
So that's a
That's
model
kinda nice.
Obviously, I'm very interested in, because as the population numbers of growth of this community, we're gonna outgrow that space downstairs. In some ways, we have outgrown it, because the demand we get is interesting for places for people to meet. It seems to be, along with the space for seniors to meet, just a place for people to meet. That was just a FYI.
Most of the ones I visited, Waconia, Chan, Chaska, had a section off. I mean, it was open space, but it was a section off with library. So yeah, that's,
Yeah, or in City Hall.
yeah, it's, yeah.
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 Great.
Any other thoughts? Otherwise, I'll pass it back to the committee.
Any other comments? I think we've been through them. Thank you. So no action at this point, right?
Nope, not at this point, nope.
When do we actually approve the plan?
So really just having this discussion, to get us to probably the next phase, and I'll see if we can get some dates added. I'll make those final changes and then at the next meeting, anticipating the next meeting, or it might be the meeting in April. I'll bring this back. We probably don't have to discuss it as extensively as we did in February and today, but we can just go ahead and approve all those red line changes. And then council usually reviews it in May.
May. Okay, that's the date. We'll move on to other business then. Any other business? Lots of opportunities for input here, beginning and end.
I'll say something. So I actually got this from Linnea, who is a librarian in Chanhassen, and Public Health supports Communities of Belonging, which meets at the Chanhassen Library on Saturday mornings. It's a great discussion group for citizens who want to get more engaged. They also meet once a month on Thursdays, and they paint, I think it's called mandala stones. And it's just a way for people to get involved and to meet different people in the community. And then they're hosting 2 events in March. They have an event called Protect Yourself from Fraud that will be at the library on Saturday, March 8th, and a cybersecurity event on Saturday, March 22nd. And then I believe the last time I was here, I talked about the wonderful craft supplies swap that the library does. They're doing another one in May. You can drop off your donate supplies May 9th through 16th during library hours, and then you get a pass for early entrance to actually get your free craft supplies on Saturday, May 17th from 10 to 11.
Nice, thanks.
I was at the cybersecurity at our Victoria Rec Center, and it was very informative. And there was maybe, 15, 20 people there, so there were that was very informative. It was very helpful.
Pass that back to the team. We have a wonderful IT manager. We
Yep.
don't know what we'd do without him.
Yep, he
and
did very well. Please let him know.
I will definitely do that. I'd be happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Seeing no other hands up or comments, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Richard? He's moving. We have a second?
Yes, we
Second.
can adjourn.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed, same sign. Thank you kindly. We're out early today. It's
Yeah.
kind of unusual for us, but